For you as a Nigerian, you have seen it all. I would say that technically. I mean, you've been here long enough. 26 years of democratic rule. What does it mean to you as a Nigerian? And what would you say, are the most significant, advancements that we have made in this last 26 years?
Okay, so the 26 years of civil rule is not history to some of us. At least most of us here is current affairs because we've lived it.
Yeah.
You know, I think my brother Jide was talking about good governance. We did not fight the military for good governance. We didn't. The military built bridges. They built some of the most important infrastructure, enduring infrastructure that the country had. But there were values that they inculcated, negative values that they inculcated, that we have been unable to win ourselves away from. Jide, what we fought for, which you fought for, as you used your youth to fight for, was freedom.
That's true. Civil liberties.
We put our lives to fight for freedom. The intrinsic values of democracy are the things we are tottering around. So because there is a fetishization, if I will put late Professor Abubakar Momo, of good governance. That's why people build roads, 3-kilometer roads. They use 20 million to show that they built 50 million to show that they built. But those are not, as important as they may be, they are not. So what we will look at is these intrinsic values that I've talked about. How much have we been able to civilize ourselves? We are still commandist in thinking, authoritarian in relationships, dictatorial in outlook. We still build personality cults. So it's all about following those structures. If you go to anywhere, what you see is the respect for people, not institutions. Oh, the DG is coming. Oh, that's not part of what this thing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a process. We are not yet process-driven people. So, as I reflect on 26 years, I am very much concerned about whether the executive understands their role. If you have a minister, does he understand the power of representation? That as a minister, he represents people, especially the way it is couched in our own country, where every minister comes from a state, right? What does that mean? As we are in federal cabinet, if we are discussing livestock transformation, what do they call it? Ruga. You are supposed to go to your states and tell them that we have a plan to do this and this is the value for you. Well, we don't have that. He doesn't see himself as a representative. Even the one who is elected to represent sees himself as a czar. He sees himself as an emperor. So until as we work to do this, within this next frontier that we're going to, we must establish processes. Why is there corruption that my brother talked about? It is because the office of the Auditor General was elbowed by the military. When the military came, they didn't want any audit. For you to steal money in the Federal Civil Service, you need a chain. Because memos are raised, it goes from one place to the other, and then
a chain of beneficiaries.
Then it gets to audit. Right? But today there are monies. We used what we inherited from the military to make government houses banks.
So are you trying to say that we've not really made significant improvement?
That's not what I'm saying.
Because
you want me to talk about, you see, in conversations about, I've been around this conversation for the past 3 days in different media. The push is to have some chest thumping, some chest thumping about what has been achieved. And I'm telling you that if it is the things that you are looking at, anybody can do it. If we have a military government tomorrow, God forbid, what are they going to be doing? They are going to be building roads. They are going to be paying salaries. They are going to be trying to fund hospitals. That is not a special thing. That's the point that I want to make.
It is building the institutions.
It is, like he said, it is strengthening institutions of democracy in a way that they can allow for freedom. That freedom will bring out the innate qualities of the people who live in this space. Let me tell you, when the military were here, you didn't have the expression of Nollywood the way you have it today. Thinking was stultified because of the oppressive nature of that system. So we need to open up in a way that people... So we are ventilating around how many kilometers. They have stabilized the economy. The economy has been stabilized, and the naira is now moving. All those things, we've created institutions. We have. But go and do a media content analysis between 1999 and today. Do a media content. Just take. My brother is the expert on dates and go and do all the speeches that these presidents that have been produced within these 26 years. Go and do the media content analysis of their speeches and see whether you see any big difference in terms of what they are saying, what they've been saying in the last 26 years. It's about sacrifice for the people. It's about the road will be tough. It's about we are on a journey. We will take you to that paradise. That's the story. That's what the media content analysis will produce for you. I think we need to shift from there and position our country in a way that it can be process-leading, process-driven, institutionally minded. That way, the things that we are struggling for will become... Just imagine that the state houses of assembly in the states are functioning the way state houses ought to function. Imagine that the state judiciaries are functioning the way they ought to function. Imagine that you do a leadership audit since 1999 and say, for instance, the legislators in the Southeast, how much have you got from constituency project? How has it manifested in the life of the people? Can you do that audit? Can you ask questions? So democracy, finally for me on this, is not about these things. It's about asking questions. It's about questioning. The military, for instance, will buy starch of chairs, for instance. Let's say they say they are bringing 1,000 chairs. Right? Now, they can supply 700. That's the military. Under the military, you cannot ask them.
Why is it 700?
No, you can't even count. Because it is when you are allowed to count that you can raise number. You have seen chairs. Chairs are here. But democracy is about counting. One by one.
Accountability.
Yes, did you supply 700?
And the quality.
Did you supply 1,000? What is the quality of what you supplied? Who supplied it? Are there conflict of interest issues? Were there bidding? All those are intrinsic values
of a democratic
that are
system.
not existing currently. Because what we inherited from the military, we have carried on. The lack of accountability, the lack of questioning, the lack of... In fact, question irritates the leaders of the country. That you are even asking questions. The same way the military calls you what do they used to call us then? What do they call us then?
Bloody civilians?
No, I will remember. You know, you are just a bloody whatever. You can't ask questions. You can't ask questions. So today, people who are in leadership are still irritated by questions. You are irritated by, okay, this building is very beautiful. But who approved it? How was it approved? How much was released? Once you ask that question, boy, you will now know that we are not in a democracy yet.
All right. Well, thank you very much.